Yeah. For one concert, and then also comes next to her for one other show. Yeah. Years since. Did y'all find him? She wanted her to. Okay. Before I got you were hiding. Okay.
No, I didn't. Oh, that's why I take down my professional. Sweater, another sweater, and a
It picks up the ambient. Okay. That's a pretty good one.
yeah, I wish it's me. No, this is actually California. I didn't even know it. Oh, I've heard it. It's great.
Yes. Yes, I will always have one. Usually it's the
I just want to be in some sense. He's starting it's very
only year he's never missed an entire year.
When did you leave?
Yeah. So like all the seasons, like because by the time it gets there, you know, yeah. But no, he said he's staying. Because that's when he first said that. Like I was thinking that.
Envisioning snowdrifts in Montana.
So I think he's going along like almost like the He's going to come through Texas and he's going staying south. Like I think his story was maybe, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Like he's done these, did the like the John Rich so I did that. And then for his 30th birthday, he did 30 walks. And I told him one mile. And then like the next year, 31 miles. That's when he started to chip. I think
I.N.K.
does he kind of stop? Like he's sort of like, oh,
That's been a trouble.
Oh, really? It was so nice. And it was so cheap. I mean, relatively speaking, it's like, it's absolutely the best. So yeah, I think it's my heart.
As a son was on your
That's really what it is. Well, he's across from the mall, and they were used to Susan's here. You're looking towards cross section of yes. Well, it wasn't everything. It's actually. No, it's all right. Well, they put them back down. Yes, someone went down.
So I think she's starting to resolve there. And actually pass outside. Yeah, we had a backup bus. That's summer. That was summer. It was quite a bit of people doing it. Maybe it was 8 years ago. Anyway, there was one out of 3 years. It was nice. A couple of times.
I would.
How are you guys? I never would write.
The question became, how can you keep well, I don't know if I want to go to school. Yeah, the staff. Just Carol. I mean, yeah, spirit is a basic person. Well, the person is considered a person. That's the most. We're just waiting for there appears to be
Right, I guess we'll begin. I'm Jamie Jasinska, I'm Mary's husband. We're going to have a few pieces played by members of the Pasadena Community Orchestra where Mary played the last 5 years. Me and Mary's dad will say some words, and then we have a little video at the end as well. So, Tim, whenever you're ready.
So this piece is Salute d'Amour by Edward Elgar. It's one of the pieces that Mary played. So I'm going to try to do it justice.
Hello, and thank you all for coming. My name is Andrew Walker. I'm Mary's father. Mary Alice was born on the 5th of August 1989 at the John Radcliffe Hospital in Oxford. Uncharacteristically, she was late arriving by 2 weeks. Also uncharacteristically, she found it very hard to start feeding. Mary grew up with her two younger sisters in Didcot, a small town about 15 miles south of Oxford, where we lived and worked. Despite living in a landlocked location, all our girls loved swimming in the sea. This passion developed on our numerous holidays on the Norfolk coast, where Mary was young, and later near our holiday home in Normandy on the marvellous beaches of the Cottontown Peninsula. Mary attended Manor Primary School, Didcot Girls' School, and then Didcot Sixth Forms. With parents like us, it was obvious that she was going to be musical. Before she was 2 years old, she would be walking around the house, clamping a violin underneath her chin. Countless versions of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star from the Suzuki Violin Method Book 1 soon followed. Music was indeed one of Mary's great passions, and it was wonderful to see her playing the violin that I had saved so hard to buy when I was a teenager, being played in numerous concerts as part of a symphony orchestra, sometimes with me holding the baton. Like her two sisters, she passed Associated Board of the Royal Schools of Music Grade 8 on 2 instruments and toured Europe many times with the Oxfordshire County Youth Orchestra. Indeed, by the age of 16, she had travelled further around the world than her parents. She also played in the Thames Vale Youth Orchestra, starting on clarinet before reverting to her first love, the violin. Everywhere Mary went, she joined an orchestra, playing for the operas at University College London, accompanying school musicals when she lived in Surrey, helping with school orchestras at the London Oratory, playing in the West London Symphonia, and most recently, the Pasadena Community Orchestra. We could not have been more proud. And at this point, I'd really like to thank members of the Pasadena Orchestra for coming to play today. The origins of Mary's second passion are a little more difficult to trace. This was her love of science and physics in particular. Neither of her parents held basic school qualifications in science. I failed my O-level physics, but something or someone must have inspired her in this discipline, and she embarked on a 4-year master's course in physics at UCL. We couldn't believe she had chosen to go to London. When she was about 12, I ran a school trip to see a musical in London. We were driving through Piccadilly, a wealthy part of London, when she looked out of the coach window and exclaimed, "Ugh, that's so dirty," as she looked at the busy and slightly grubby scene of city life at the end of the day. However, I still remember the twinkle in her eye as she held the keys to her first shared house in London. It was in London, though, that she met the love of her life, her husband Jamie. But that is someone else's story to tell. Another surprise for me was when Mary decided at the end of her UCL master's course to train to become a teacher. As a teacher myself, I tried to persuade her towards something different. However, she enrolled on a PGCE course at London's Institute of Education. Once qualified, she taught at Epsom in Surrey, and then moved to the London Oratory School, which coincidentally was Jamie's old school. Mary married Jamie on the 23rd of September 2017 at the Bear Hotel in Devizes, Wiltshire in the UK. This was the town where her parents had first met, where her grandparents lived, and where the famous Wadworth's Brewery is situated. Then, in December of the same year, she followed Jamie to start her new life in the USA. With her usual drive and energy, she threw herself into life over here and got herself a teaching job at Oakwood School, which she loved. Coming from the UK, it was quite natural that she would get the bus to work initially, but within a short time, she had learnt to drive on what for us is the wrong side of the road. Mary also developed another passion, that of hiking in the great outdoors. It sounded to us like torture, and again we have no idea how or why this passion developed, but we were grateful that it enabled us to be introduced to the incredible beauty of the wild places of this country. A very important role in Mary's life was being an older sister to Elsa and Sally. They were a very close unit. Being compassionate, hard-working and conscientious, Mary was always a grounding influence in their lives and an inspiration. She was also an incredible aunt to her nephew Miles. Despite how far apart they lived, she was very close to him. Mary was loved and admired by all who knew her, family, friends, colleagues and pupils. We, her often slightly cynical parents, were amazed by how positive she was in everything, even during her illness. She never complained, was never bitter, and was always more worried about the effect her illness had on others rather than on herself. Even though she was not here now, her light and love will last in all of us forever.
We're not going to play the Dvorak Pilaresque, which is another piece that Mary used to play.
First time I met Mary was on the first day of university. Neither one of us was staying in the UCL dormitories, so a Facebook group formed with 4 of us to meet and go to the university pub. That first day, I remember thinking she was incredibly beautiful from the moment I saw her. I bought us a round of drinks at the university pub. I got myself a beer, and Mary asked for a Smirnoff Ice, for which later I jokingly scolded her about, considering it is such a bad drink. This, however, was my first lesson in understanding how Mary operates, that she always thought of others first before herself. Mary had chosen that drink because it was the cheapest on the menu, and she did not want to impose on me a more expensive drink. From that day on, Mary became a permanent fixture and the focal point of my life. That was September 22nd, 2007. As our first year of university was coming to an end, We had to look for new houses to live in, and I wanted for Mary and I to live together. However, Mary said that we should be wise and wait a bit before we did that. So we both lived in separate houses with our friends, which fortuitously shared a garden. Of course, by the end of the second year, we realized we should have saved ourselves the money since we had spent most of our time living together. The rest of our time at university passed in a blissful blur, filled with lots of partying, drinking, and of course studying. Mary really helped me focus during exam seasons, and we spent a lot of time studying with our desks facing each other while listening to the Lord of the Rings soundtrack. Mary, of course, had spent her entire time at university playing violin in the UCL orchestra. Incredibly talented musically, she was a grade 8 in both clarinet and violin, and played in orchestras wherever she went. After we finished university, Mary studied to become a physics teacher, at which she excelled. Because I was doing a PhD at a laboratory located in the middle of nowhere in the English countryside, Mary moved with me to a place called Dorking, which must have been one of the most unimaginative places to live, considering Mary's passion for doing things. However, Mary was always a pillar of support, and we lived there for 2 years before moving back to London when she got a position teaching at my old school, the London Oratory. After I finished my PhD, I was offered a position at the University of Michigan. Considering Mary had just started her new job at the London Oratory, there were no opportunities currently for me in the UK, we decided to live apart and do a long-distance relationship. Mary visited me at every opportunity that she had, with frequent school holidays, and I went back to the UK as often as I could. The first time she visited me in Ann Arbor was like being able to breathe again after being underwater for 6 weeks. Taking her back to the airport at the end of that week was torturous, and we sat crying at the airport before she went through security. This got easier every time we visited each other, and during the 2 years of me being at Michigan, we had accumulated a lot of air miles. At the end of my time at Michigan, Mary and I got married. I proposed to Mary at our university in London, and we got married exactly 10 years and 1 day after we had first met. Due to my Polish background, we tried to include as many Polish traditions as we could in the wedding festivities. One tradition is upon entering the wedding breakfast, the happy couple are presented with 2 shots. One has vodka and the other one has water. This is considered the couple's first wedding toast. The bride gets to choose first between the 2 glasses without knowing which is which. According to tradition, the partner who ends up with the vodka is said to become the dominant partner in the relationship. Mary was having none of this. She said, "We are both going through life and marriage together, so we are both having a shot of vodka." So an old Polish tradition was changed. Once I received an offer to work in Pasadena, Mary agreed we should go there together. It was an incredibly brave move for her, for she had no job and did not know anyone here, 2 things she remedied very quickly. First, she got a job at Oakwood Secondary School teaching physics, which later changed to teaching math. As a math teacher, Mary was particularly pleased when she learned that her blood tape was A+. She also joined the Caltech International Spouses Club, where she made very close friends and became the president of the hiking club. Before moving to California, Mary was always a beach girl, frequently enjoying beaches, especially in Normandy in France. Moving to Los Angeles, she was of course excited for the great beaches here. However, it was in California that she found her love of the mountains and quickly became a mountain girl. Mary's love of hiking and backpacking in the wilderness was insatiable. She was quickly planning more and more adventurous outings, especially into the wilderness, where you could leave the loud hustle and bustle of public camping grounds and go into the wild spaces to enjoy nature and its quiet. Her big dream became to complete the Pacific Crest Trail, the famous 2,600-mile trail through California, Oregon, and Washington. She read books about people's adventures of the trail and watched many videos planning to take a sabbatical 1 year from school when it would be available to her. Mary was fascinated with the life of John Muir, and particularly identified with the famous quote of his, "The mountains are calling and I must go." And go we did, as Mary had an unstoppable drive to spend time in the mountains. During the pandemic, she organised every weekend in advance so that we were hiking at every available opportunity. We completed many through hikes, including the a 60-mile trek through Yosemite to Reds Meadow, 40-mile California hiking and riding trail in Joshua Tree, climbing Mount San Jacinto, and walking across the Trans-Catalina Island Trail, among many others. During our time on the trails, Mary would often stop to identify a particular plant or animal, as she was always interested in the natural world. I jokingly gave her the trail name Attenborough after the famous natural historian Sir David Attenborough. It was also her love for the natural world that gave her a passion for gardening once we bought our first house in Altadena last year. This passion, like her life, was short-lived. It was only shortly after moving into our new house in Altadena that Mary was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. Before Mary was ever diagnosed with cancer, she used to say that she was not afraid of dying. Once she was gone, she wouldn't know about it, so it was not troubling for her. Mary was most worried about her loved ones in the hypothetical case of her passing, and how it would upset those who loved her. This selflessness and only caring about others, and never herself, epitomized her journey with cancer. Frequently, Mary would tell us not to worry about her, while she herself worried so much about us. Mary would notice how she was the youngest person on her chemo ward or at the oncologist's office, and she would say that it was good that she was the only young person, as she would not want anyone else our age to be going through cancer. Her entire motto during the last 7 months was, and I quote Mary, "It is what it is, and we will do our best." Mary was the very definition of stoicism and selflessness. She never complained about her situation. Some people would be depressed once they got on first-name basis with the entire interventional radiology department at the hospital. Instead, Mary only thought about others. A week before her passing, when Mary was taken for a procedure, the anesthesiologist explained that this was a routine procedure which was usually extremely safe. However, it would be extremely dangerous for Mary due to how sick she was. He then asked if Mary had any questions, and her response was, "I just want to thank you and everyone at this hospital who have been taking care of me this entire time. You have all been great." Mary's quote of "It is what it is and we'll do our best" during cancer is how she lived her entire life. She never did anything half-heartedly and tackled everything head-on. Psychologically, she was as unmovable as the mountains she climbed. Few people live like this with every fibre of their being. Every person she met fell in love with her, and every person shares in the loss that her passing has brought.
We'll be playing the nocturne movement from Gordon's second string quartet.
Like a bird.
Say hello to your parents.
We're starting our through hike of the California Riding and Hiking Trail. Alright. Kind of the alternative is really, I guess.
Say hello.
Hello. Day 2. It's day 3 and we had a lovely night camping with no wind and it was beautiful and a gorgeous sunrise. And this is the view. We are so close. We did it.
and we welcome you to come to ours for a snack and a drink. Remember Mary. Thank you.
Up to you.